Hello again. I'm happy you're joining me for another devotional. My name is Marco Arroyo, the preacher with the Seagoville Church of Christ in Seagoville, Texas. I hope you're doing well. Hope if there's some way we can serve you, you can come down to our worship services sometime soon. That would be amazing. We'd love to see you. We'd love to have you here with us. We're going to be in Genesis chapter 5 for the devotional today. Genesis chapter 5. Looking through the chapter very briefly today in just the minutes that we have here together today. But I was thinking a lot, and I know sometimes we have situations that put our lives into perspective. I remember the first time I was really confronted with something that we see in Genesis 5. And I'll mention that in just a little while, but it's amazing when we read Genesis 5. It seems sometimes there are chapters in the Bible that are just kind of like throwaway chapters, ones that you just read through and you move on. Genesis chapter 5 can be one of those chapters for a lot of people, but there's something really powerful about Genesis chapter 5 when you read it here. If you read starting off in verse number 1, this is the book of the genealogy of Adam. In the day that God created man, he made him in the likeness of God. He created them male and female and blessed them and called them mankind, the Bible says. He called them mankind in the day that they were created. And Adam lived 130 years and begot a son in his own likeness, the Bible says, after his image, and named him Seth. After he begot Seth, the days of Adam were 800 years, and he had sons and daughters. So all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. Seth lived 105 years and begot Enosh. After he begot Enosh, Seth lived 807 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. Enosh lived 90 years and begot Canaan. After he begot Canaan, Enosh lived 815 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Enosh were 905 years, and he died. Verse 12, Canaan lived 70 years and he begot Mahalalel. After he begot Mahalalel, Canaan lived 840 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Canaan were 910 years, and he died. Mahalalel lived 65 years and begot Jared. After he begot Jared, Mahalalel lived 830 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Mahalalel were 895 years, and he died. Jared lived 162 years and begot Enoch. And he begot Enoch. After he begot Enoch, Jared lived 800 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Jared were 962 years, and he died. Enoch lived 65 years and begot Methuselah. After he begot Methuselah, Enoch walked with God 300 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Enoch were 365 years, and Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. And verse number 25, Methuselah lived 187 years and begot Lamech. After he begot Lamech, Methuselah lived 782 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died. Lamech lived 182 years and had a son, and he called his name Noah, saying, This one will comfort us concerning our work and the toil of our hands, because of the ground which the Lord has cursed. After he begot Noah, Lamech lived 595 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died. And Noah was 500 years old. Noah begot Shem, Ham, and Japheth. What's the common theme that we read there when we read that entire chapter of Genesis chapter 5? With the exception of Enoch and Noah, because of just the time that is being recorded, with the exception of them, every single person mentioned there is told how long, or it's said of them how long they lived, how old they were when they first had their children, and then when, or the fact rather, that they died. Every single person, with the exception of the ones that we mentioned, every single one died. And they lived a long time. They lived hundreds of years, literally hundreds of years in those times. It was different. And they died. You know, this is actually hopefully shaping up to be a more uplifting message than anything. I don't want to give the wrong impression about it, but I remember it was actually in 2020, in the beginning of 2020, when I realized I'd not had a doctor's appointment in basically my entire life. It's kind of a crazy thing to say, but really, I had not had a doctor's appointment in my whole life. And I told that to my wife, actually, And she said, you need to go to the doctor. And so I went and had a doctor's appointment, and they did some blood work on me. And it was then when the blood work came back that there were some problems. And some problems that I needed to remedy. And some problems that if I didn't remedy those problems, I would die in the way that my father died, or with a similar illness, or in a way that other people in my family struggle with liver issues. And I remember when they told me my liver enzymes were extremely elevated, especially for someone of my age, and they were very concerned about that and that I needed to make some great changes. I remember that was one of the first real times that I was confronted with my own mortality. I'm a young man, and it's easy for me to feel like my life is just going to go on forever and ever. I know that it won't, but it's easy sometimes to treat it like it's just going to go on forever and ever, and I have all the time in the world to do all the things that I want to do all the things that I need to do. The reality is I don't. The reality is, and this is what we read here in Genesis chapter 5, while they all died at different times, is one of the first things I want us to notice. They all died at different times. They had no guaranteed amount of time. There was no certainty for when their time would be up, when their lives would be over. No guarantee at all. They all died at different times, but also, and more basically, they all died based on the fact that we will die, and the fact that we don't know when that will happen. At some point our lives will be over, whether we die or Jesus comes first. Based on the fact that that will happen, and we don't know when those things will happen, the vast majority of the time, nobody knows when they're going to die. Most of the time. Sometimes people do have a general idea when they have terminal illnesses and things like that. But most people have no idea. And everyone has no idea. There isn't a single person that has an idea about when Jesus is coming back, according to what the Bible says. So with that in mind, how should we live? And beyond that, or within that rather, what should matter to us? What should matter to you? What should matter to me in life? Based on the fact that, again, we're going to die someday. You might be hearing this devotional, seeing this devotional, and you're a younger person. You might be seeing this and you're an older person. The same is the truth for each and every one of us. We're all on limited time. What do you want to do with your time? We're all on limited time. So take inventory of the things that matter to you the most. Are those things that are worthy of mattering to you above every other thing, based on the fact that one day this life will be over? Are those things worthwhile to you, given the fact that one day your life will be over? As you go about this week, I want to encourage you, when you pray to God, pray like someone who's on borrowed time. When you pray to God, pray like someone who might be praying their last prayer and they have no idea. But now pray like someone who does have some idea. Pray to God as if you are a person on borrowed time, and ask Him to help you see your life that way. This is not a plea to get everyone to treat their lives as if they're about to die and to live in fear. No, and that's not God's design for us anyway. But view your life as someone who is on a limited amount of time, because ultimately you are someone who is on a limited amount of time. All this, it's not going to last forever. It just won't, and it's not meant to last forever with the way the world is, because of the entrance of sin into the world. So when you pray this week, pray like someone who wants their mind centered around, shaped by the reality that there is a limited amount of time. So hopefully that'll cause us to appreciate our prayers more. Hopefully that'll cause us to be more urgent with the things that we need to be doing in this life. But have that in your prayer life. Number 2, I would encourage you to use Hebrews 11 as a framework, to read about the lives of those people in Hebrews chapter 11, and how they certainly treated their lives as people who didn't believe that they were going to live forever. Many of them lived longer than you and I will live. But still, despite that, they did not treat their lives as if they had all the time in the world, the people in Hebrews chapter 11. So if they didn't, surely we shouldn't either. We should not do that either. Number 3, have more urgency in your life. Have more urgency. And don't treat your life like someone who just believes it's going to last forever. It won't. Every single human will have an end to their life here upon the earth. So what do you want to matter to you in this life? What do you want to focus on, to emphasize, to prioritize in this life, knowing it's going to be over someday, whether you like it or not? How do you want to be throughout your life? And most importantly, above all, on the other side of this life, upon death, how do you want to stand in the sight of God? What kind of standing do you want to have with Him? Do you want to be in a right relationship with Him? Or do you not care to have a right relationship with Him? What matters to you? What should matter to you? Hopefully when we think about the brevity of life, how brief, how fast it really is, it'll motivate us all the more to seek God, to trust in Him, and to have the urgency to do His will today and to give ourselves to Him today, knowing again how eternally meaningful, valuable, and essential that is. I love you very much. I pray you'll have a great week. And again, this message is not supposed to be a downer. This is supposed to encourage us to have the right perspective, living as people who are more joyful than ever, because we know that this life is finite. But on the other side of this life, if we live it for God, we get to live forever and ever with Him in greater joy than we can even imagine here upon the earth. Have a great week and live it. Live every single day to the fullest in your relationship with God. Love you very much. Lord willing, I'll see you next time. Take care.